And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to All Sports Western New York. It's your old buddy Bob Tashinsky back with you on a Tuesday night. Boy, we got a great show lined up for you. I'm laughing already. We haven't even started the show because tonight, my guest in studio, it is Mike Robitaille, former Buffalo Sabre. He's former a lot of things, but he's got a lot of stuff going on. We're going to talk to Mike in 1 second. Then a little later on, we'll have a few clips from the Sam Reinhart press conference that took place Monday as they brought him to town. But right now in studio, we have my buddy Mike Robitaille. And Mike, we were laughing before we even started, and I'll share this with our viewers because I asked, how many kids you have. You have two beautiful daughters, and you have, grandkids. Because I wanted to ask you the question, if you had a son, can you imagine sitting there at the NHL draft? Because the Sabres now have a couple players whose dads all played in the NHL. They come from a line of hockey family. That must be a hell of a thrill to sit there and to see your son being picked in the first, second round of the NHL.
Yeah, I suppose it would be almost like an extension of yourself and bringing back a lot of thoughts about when you're a kid trying to move up to the National Hockey League and you're watching this whole thing unfold in front of you with your DNA. You'd have to be very careful not to show favoritism if you had a couple other kids in the family, but it would be, just think of that. What you went through to get to the NHL,
right? And
you know full well what's involved there and how to stay there. And then this kid standing up beside you who you probably developed and brought along. Not only as his father, his coach, and giving him advice, and all of a sudden he's there.
Yeah.
And so kind of an extension of your dream. Your second dream in your life. Your personal one was to make it the NHL yourself.
And I was laughing because, Mike's got some beautiful daughters and some beautiful grandkids. And, you're not exactly
not much to look at,
Tom Selleck.
But I'm a bugger to go. That's what my dad used to say all the time.
Yeah.
He says, my boy here, it says, not much to look at, but he's a bugger to go.
Only a dad could get away with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the Sabres draft picks. First of all, Sam Reinhart, who wants to now be known as Samson Reinhart, which is kind of cool. That gives you that sense of strength. He's just from watching him talk, and even to see his physical development, he's pretty advanced, pretty mature kid for 18 years old.
Well, I'll tell you why, because I lived that scenario many times, because he hung around the ranks with NHL players for many, many years, and he's really comfortable in that situation. Even going back to Gordie Howe in Detroit, he always had his boys out in the ice, always had them at practice, always on the ice after practice, and on it went. So they became very comfortable in that setting. So he shouldn't have any problem as far as marketing is concerned and putting himself on the map off the ice. His old man was one of my all-time favorite defensemen. He was just spectacular for years. He used to log a ton of ice time and more than a capable defenseman, great leadership. Two different positions, of course. Paul played defense and his son being a forward. But, it's blood's pretty thick sometimes. It's amazing how that runs through, right into your son and probably his son, and on it goes because of that bloodline.
Yeah, and as you said, he knows what's expected of him. There'll be no mysteries to him.
He watched it, he heard it, he listened to it. He heard his old man come home and, like coaches, hate certain coaches, upset with the game, I want to quit, no, I want to play. All this stuff he has lived growing up as a boy. And so this is just like falling off a log for him.
And he expects to play right away.
Well, he should. I would hope he has that mindset. And I think with this team in particular, they got the wrong guy. Then if he can't step up, and this is the book's wide open for him. Step up and take a job, and away you go with your NHL career. The question will always be, what do you put around him, and how does that unfold? How does he learn to play in the NHL? Who is he going to play with? What type of how have you insulated him and let him move in gradually instead of lambasting him? And where he's almost overcome, where he can't grow at the speed probably you'd like him to grow at.
Number two, Lemieux, who's already got a chip on his shoulder because he expected to go in the first round, and so now he said, you've just brought a fiery guy into your organization who's got a little bit more fire under his saddle.
Yeah, it'll take a lot of that. That goes a long way. I know sometimes, you look at the amount of money the players are making and you listen to a kind of a cocky type of player, it can be upsetting. And you know, the old style was, oh, just shut up and keep it, you know, sit there, keep your mouth shut, and don't say anything. Be grateful you're there. But many players that are great hockey players also have enough confidence in themselves to talk like that. And if he's coming into training camp saying, I have no idea where the American League is, I want to make the big club. And if he's outspoken, well, he's going to be challenged, but he's not going to be, you know, gilding the lily either. He's here to make the team.
At the draft, he said he was a little bit surprised the Sabres picked him because he thought the interview process with the Sabres didn't go well. But Tim Murray said they really gave him some tough questions, especially about how he gets along with players and coaches, because his dad had a reputation. Everybody, unless he was on your team, you hated him. But apparently he gave the right answers because they grabbed him with the 31st pick.
Well, it's a pretty important time because what the player does on the ice is one thing, and also how he deals with just life in general off the ice will tell you an awful lot. And I think certainly in the same way Reinhart with his dad and Lemieux with his dad, I mean, Bob, they're so well schooled at this point.
Yeah.
And they know exactly what's going on. You're not walking.
Let's take a look at all the picks. We've got the board of everybody, and certainly they went for skill. You know, forward, centers. As Tim Murray said, everybody's happy with the draft after the draft. But what's your gut tell you, Mike?
Well, I think what's important here is that who they took number one, and I know they said there are about 3 or 4 of them that can all, you know, get the job done for you, but I can guarantee you one's going to end up a better player than the other 3, one of them. So you better pick the right guy. And you're not in that position too often. If this team and their future Buffalo unfolds the way they want it to, after next season, it could be a while before they ever see, you know, have an opportunity to grab a player of this ilk.
Tim Murray has come right out and said he expects the dividends from this draft and next year's draft to pay off in 2016. He's basically asking the fans to be patient and sit and watch this team, and then with the assurance that that team is then going to be good for some time down the road. That's saying a lot.
Well, it is, and you're asking a lot of the fans, and you know, probably if Tim was here 4 or 5 years ago, add that on to, you know, what he's saying now, wait, it's been a pretty long time. You're asking a lot from the fans, but the fans have responded beautifully. I think, you know, owning a team in this town is an owner's dream. I mean, the fans just show up. You've got an awful lot of fans from Canada coming down here and supporting your base. And no matter how the team is playing, they still find a way to pretty well fill the building up night after night.
We're going to take a break. We'll be back. More with Mike Robitaille right after this.